And Are You Okay is a not safe for work podcast, so any young listeners are discouraged from continuing. However, we literally have no way to track that, so do whatever the hell you want and enjoy the show.
I wish they would have gotten that long, but he's the J.R. Smith, streakiest pitcher of all the time. But yeah, I would have liked another bat, but man, Hayes seems to be panning out pretty well.
Yeah,
I'm not mad at him.
I think it's one of the, everyone's slumping, right? So you gotta just find a way to get back into a groove. You know, they need to find a way to get hit by a smooth podcast, maybe a Star Wars podcast.
Maybe, you know, on their days off, you know, just hop onto your favorite streaming platform, and, you know, just check out Annie, Are You Okay?
Oh, a Star Wars podcast. I am your host, Mikey. Darth Plagueis the Unwise. Although I think we said last week that I have regained my wisdom.
You were reinformed. You got reinformed.
Okay, I'm reinformed, and it's fine.
Darth Plagueis the reinitiated. So we don't call it.
And I am joined by my illustrious co-host.
You forgot the human holocron himself.
The human holocron himself. How could I forget my own nicknames?
The original nickname.
Yeah, right. My illustrious co-host, the Prince of all sayings. Oh, I'm doing the wrong podcast. The Smack Talker Skywalker, the Broby-Wan Kenobi, the Rogue One, the Rogue Only, Matthew Porter.
Checked in, baby.
Matty Ice. I know you're checked in. We're ready. We're locked and loaded today. We've had this kind of on lock for a while.
Big facts.
Shout outs to executive producer of the Dragon Ball for Life, Yali Perez, for passing us along the People Magazine exclusive.
All caps.
On Star Wars Skeleton Crew, something we've been talking about for a while, just knowing that it's in the pipeline and ready to go. They've been working on it, but we have had very little to no information. In fact, I think the only information we've had has been from leaks coming out of Star Wars Celebration.
Is that Jude Law's in it? That's
it. Yeah, or not this year, but last year, right? Yeah, that Jude Law is in it and might be a Jedi, right? So that is what we're going to be covering today. We got our first real public look at Star Wars Skeleton Crew. We're going to discuss the People Magazine exclusive covering what the show creators are comparing to the Amblin films we grew up with, what tidbits from the article stood out to us most, and how we feel about a show with a lighter tone mixing itself into the Mando portion of the timeline. Matt, I think we both have read this article, so I'm going to hand it off to you and just kind of let me know what your feelings are. I do have a small description that's from the article to just kind of tee up the conversation itself, like the description that they actually provided about the show. But after that, feel free to go off on what has really struck you from this early information. So when four kids make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet, they get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy. According to the show's official synopsis, finding their way home, meeting unlikely allies and enemies will be a greater adventure than they ever imagined. Obligatory spoiler warning, because Matt and I can't help ourselves. And go ahead, man.
So I was already excited for this show before. One, I fuck with Jude Law, hard body, karate. And when they were coming out, I know it was like unofficially kind of the murmurs was just like, oh, it's going to be like a Goonies, Stranger Things type of vibe of show, which had me hooked. But now, based off these articles, it seems that it's pretty confirmed that that's like the tone that they're going for, which I am super excited about. Depending on how much of the pre-conversation that leads into the intro we decide to keep, The Goonies is one of my favorite movies of all time. Definitely a comfort film for me. And who doesn't fucking love Stranger Things? You know?
Yeah.
You know, some people like regular things. Some people like their things a bit normal. I prefer Stranger Things. You know, those are the type of things that I like. But I'm super excited. I will say, I don't want to call it a concern, but Jude Law is a bit older, so the dynamic with him and based off these images would appear to be very young children. I am a bit interested as to how that will play out, because I know you can only do so much of like the mentoree role, which, had I not known that this is allegedly supposed to be like Jude Law's show, I would have figured he was going to be kind of like a Obi-Wan Gandalf type role, like just kind of like it's more about the kids than him, but like he's kind of being pitched as like the lead. So I was just like, I'm interested to see how you let these kids shine, because like with young actors, usually they want to give them the time to like get their shit off and like steal the show. So I am interested as to how they're going to like work that out. And from a lot of the still images that I've seen, Jude Law isn't in a lot of them. There's like that one pic of him surrounded by the kids, but a lot of the pictures from the articles, it's the children that are kind of just, like going through the adventures and whatnot. So I am curious to see how they're going to play off that age disparity, because you can't have but so many deep emotional connecting scenes with people with that vast of life experience in between them, if that makes sense. So I'm curious about that, but especially with it like being like a Goonies-esque type show, there wasn't any adult figures that were kind of, Bran, but he was a teenager. He wasn't like a fucking 50-year-old man helping the kids out. So I'm curious as to how they're going to play that. Based off the description of that, the kids find like a secret, like where they're at, like a dangerous secret from where they're on. My knee-jerk reaction is like maybe they find like, in fact, let me pause that real quick. Also, something that I'm very interested about is the time that this show takes place, which is like 9 ABY, right? So it's like right after Return of the Jedi. So
this is in the Mando timeline.
It's like the Mando timeline, right?
Yes.
So
probably like season 2-ish of Mando.
Okay, so that helps me out a bit more, because initially when I had seen like the 9 ABY and it was like around about the Mando timeline after Return of the Jedi, when they were saying like the general synopsis is like these kids stumble onto like a dangerous secret and they need to like flee, and Jude Law helps them escape because he's tied to it somehow. I initially was just like, well, at this point in time there would have been peace-ish. So it's like, if it is like a Jedi-ish secret, why would that be a bad thing? But if it's like season 2, back when like shit was hitting the fan and, the First Order was starting to bubble up and Moff Gideon, the Moff, was kind of getting in his bag, then that does make sense. So I am kind of thinking, again, my knee-jerk reaction that maybe they stumble onto like an abandoned Jedi temple, or maybe like one of those maybe a Virgins. They find another Virgins area. We were introduced to that term again in the Acolyte. But I think it's low hanging fruit, but makes sense thematically that Jude Law might be another Jedi that survived Order 66. Order 66 wasn't as efficient as the Emperor would have liked it to be.
I guess when you break it down, and like there were 10,000 Jedi, and now there's like less than 100.
True.
I think that's okay.
But when goal was total annihilation, they kind of missed the mark.
They sure did. And it all is because I really do think it's something that Star Wars falls back on a lot, but it happens to be some of the more interesting stories. Is the Jedi who do happen to survive Order 66 are on the run and tested more than any of the Jedi who are alive during the Republic, even during the Clone Wars, right? Because they don't have the Order to fall back on. So you get these really
and they knew what they were getting into. They was like, all right, bet we're going to war. Like these people are just trying to like live.
Yeah, exactly. That's a good point. Yeah, it's literally like they're not at war, but they are constantly in danger. So characters like Kanan Jarrus, Cal Kestis, they're constantly on the run, if you think about it, and they have to hide who they truly are and their intentions.
I'm about to butcher the saying, but there's something along the lines of like the unseen enemy is the most dangerous one. I know that's not how the edict goes, but it's something along those lines.
Yeah, I picked up what you put down.
Yeah, I feel you, my guy. It's like we're part of the same skeleton crew.
Oh. He got me.
I always get one contractually obligated dad joke every episode.
So something I did want to just ask you about, because you had brought it up. Do you think that maybe Jude Law can fill kind of like the David Harbour role, where he's like the Hopper of this series, and like maybe his, don't get me wrong, I'm sure they will interact a decent amount, but maybe that is a way to make it feel cohesive, where Jude Law is certainly doing his own thing, and it's very connected to what the kids are doing, but he might have his own scene separated from them.
That's what I thought it would be, but I feel like there's a lot of stake being put in that this is his show. It's like starring Jude Law, and I get if that's the marketing campaign, because obviously the other kids like are unknown actors at this point in time. Then I mean, I'm rolling with that. But I feel like I've seen shows where the big name was touted, but it's not like, they're not like, it's their show. They're just like, oh yeah, they're in it. Bring an audience in. But I feel like everything that I've been reading and seeing is like Jude Law show. This is Jude Law show starring Jude Law. This is Jude Law into the Star Wars universe.
It's definitely part of the marketing of it, for sure. I think you hit the nail on the head, that they're trying to get people to come in off of names. And that is a name people know. And you know, don't get me wrong, the director, John Watts, is like, he's well known for his Spider-Man.
I love John Watts.
Right?
Yeah, I was about to say I love John Watts.
But I don't know if he's quite a household name outside of, you know, we talk about entertainment, right? Like, it's very big for us. But outside of that,
we're the exception, not the rule.
Right. If I ask 10 people on the street, do you know who John Watts is? And I would not
Naomi Watts' brother, maybe.
Yeah, like I would be shocked if if any of the 10 people said, "Yeah, I know who that is." So it's like, not to take away from his resume, he's clearly like, I very much have enjoyed his MCU Spider-Man films. There was a period of time where he was supposed to be doing the new Fantastic Four, which also had me quite excited. I'm glad he's doing this. I think he understands how to push a narrative through the eyes of a younger audience, and that's really vital to this story. So that's good. But yeah, I think there's one tidbit and a character that we didn't know about, but to me is going to be kind of like a vital part of making sure that the vibe is correct. And it is the fact that Simon Pegg's friend, whoever, that's how everyone knows him, Nick Frost, is going to be voicing a droid in this series. I couldn't think of a better, like, it's like one of those like match made in heaven type castings for a droid in Star Wars. For it to be Nick Frost just feels like such a good choice, and his comedic elements are what he's known for, and adding that like air of levity but also sarcasm to a character, I think is going to be something that we hopefully look back fondly on after we have watched the entire season. How do you feel about him joining the Star Wars universe?
It's kind of become, I don't know when it started. I'm pretty sure I know the answer somewhere in my brain. But having like these off-kilter cult following actors voice droids has kind of become like a Star Wars like watermark, and I love it. And I feel like you just said, weirdly, whoever like the casting department is, I feel like they always nail like the droids. Like when you have a droid that has like speaking lines and not just beep boops. I feel like they always pick like with Nick Frost. I'm like you just said, like, of course it'd be him. That's perfect. Or like L7 from Solos. It's like I feel like
so
feel like they nail it.
And then Matthew Berry as the droid from Drop.
I feel like Matthew Berry from
Palace. Yeah.
Exactly. I feel like they nail it every time, and it's never like a George Clooney or like a big actor where it's just like, oh, okay, you're just trying to pander to the casual fans. It's always like an actor who has like a deep cut relationship to nerddom, because like with Matt Berry, like What We Done in the Shadows, such a great show.
I know where it started. I
was about to say, I feel like it's in my head somewhere.
In Chapter 6 of the first season of The Mandalorian, the one droid with like the bug head is voiced by the guy from why am I blanking right now? I had it in my head and I just totally lost it. But
we'll get there.
They sing that it's business time. Flight of the Conchords. Jesus Christ.
Damn, that's a deep cut. I haven't watched that show in forever.
But the one guy from that voices the droid that's part of that like team, and I feel like that's where they like really started grabbing these like British comedians that are also incredibly sarcastic, and it works. It works for droids. It's like it's formulaic, if you want to call it that, but I'm sorry, I'm a sucker for it. Every time I'm like, this is right. It just feels right.
Yeah, and that's kind of always been like a through line too. I know it's like in a galaxy far, far away and a long time ago, and I'm aware I said it backwards. That was intentional, but I feel like there's always been like this. There's always been like this strange British undertone to Star Wars. Like a lot of the people in the Empire.
They film A New Hope. They film all of them in London, actually. Now that I'm thinking about it,
right?
So
it makes sense for like the droids. I don't know. My weird headcanon is like, of course, these people speak the King's English, so all the droids would sound like that.
maybe every single time it's just trying to replicate Anthony Daniels, and they try and get as close as possible.
Exactly. That's literally the foundation of speaking droids. Like, all right, we're gonna make them all speak the Kings. Love it. But I'm hyped for him to be in it. Like you said, his comedic timing is just it's just so natural. Like it's just like, I feel like him, Simon Pegg too, something that they're really good at is like they're like reactively funny. Like their responses to lines of dialogue is always hilarious versus like they're not necessarily, and not to say that they can't like create the joke, but it's usually like a line is said that isn't meant to be funny, and like their response to said line makes scenes like funny. So like I'm gonna love to see his interaction with like a bunch of kids. I feel like that'll be fun. But I was just reading something when you were talking about Nick Frost. I was just reading like the little brief synopsis where it says, when 4 kids make a mysterious discovery on their seemingly safe home planet, they get lost in a strange and dangerous galaxy, blah, blah, blah. Do you think that Jude Law could be the mysterious seeker? Like maybe he crashes on their planet and they find him, and maybe he's like a Jedi on the run, and they like help him hide from his captors. Maybe those guys with the awesome fucking helmets, with the 300 helmets, are like his pursuers, and they're like, he's like the secret. I think that'd be dope. I think that'd be real cool. Which I feel like, again, if that's not it, writer's room, come get us. I feel like the kids harboring a fugitive makes a good reason for this grown-ass man to be hanging around small children for like a prolonged period of time. Like they helped him out, and now he feels like indebted to these kids. So it's like as like a protector, like you said, David Harbour type role of character. So it's like I feel like that would make sense storyline wise, but we'll see. But again, I'm just excited for the show over and on, because even though Bad Batch is an animated show, we say all the time there was like very, very extremely heavy emotional beats in that show. And then Acolyte, whether you liked it or you didn't, I err on the side of people that liked it. There was a lot of emotion that went into that, and then just having like a fun show, which I can already see like the toy rollout for this. Like I can already see it. So having a show that's fun. My kids don't not like Star Wars. It's just not in their lexicon of things, because it's like,
right, but
I will say
something that pulls them in.
Exactly. Like this is something that like if I wanted to like make my kids get into Star Wars, like I'd be like, hey, try this one, and then see if it will work. But I'm excited, like to get some lighthearted, fun Star Wars, because I can't think of the last, like Star Wars always has fun elements, and then obviously because Disney's gonna Disney, they're gonna always figure out a way to like make it appealing to children somehow. But let's be real, it really caters to us and the old fan base based off that nostalgia pop. But I just lost my train of thought. What was I just saying? I was talking about, oh shit, I remember. I'm back. We back. I can't remember the last show. Maybe Rebels, where it's like it's a fun show.
Audience was actually like,
like it's like a show based off fun and exciting, like entertaining, quippy adventures, and they might sprinkle in some deep emotional beats. Like all the Star Wars that we've gotten recently has been like more mature content where they try to squeeze in some Disney fun in there. But it seems like this show's gonna like lead with the family element and aspect of it, which healthy change of pace. And shit, it might get some of these incels, these Star Wars incels, the sticks out their butts. Like I'm very curious. I'm very curious to see.
because I would be lying if I said I wasn't a little worried for the child actors. Like, I really just hope they're
the
not
headspace of the kids.
Yeah, it's like, because it's like this. Listen, if it is truly Goonies in space, like, this should be a fun ride, right? And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm not going to be as critical about this as I am the other stuff from like an acting standpoint, because they are kids. From a narrative standpoint, I think that kids are pretty smart and that they can definitely, you and I grew up watching Star Wars. I wouldn't say that the plot is necessarily like super hard to understand.
Right.
We obviously, as we've grown up, we realize that there's more there. Give me that. Tell the story for the young adult to adult audience, but make it simple enough for the kids to digest the surface level, like tension and stuff like that. I think you can still tell a really good story and not dumb it down for a younger audience while still appealing to a younger audience, because that's what really
else
how we spent most of our childhood.
Big facts. And you know what else might like behoove them? Like, for once, just let this be its own show. Like, you don't have to tie it into something. Like, we're at a time point in Star Wars where it's like they have a really big sandbox. Like, you have Mando that can make the connecting dots to, like, the Skywalker saga and the prequels and the sequel trilogy. Like, just let this show be what it is, because I feel like that is where a lot of the Star Wars quote unquote purists bitch about shit, and I can see that is where they'll try to let's call a spade a spade. A lot of them just complain just so they can say something, just so they have just so they can have an opinion and feel like they can like influence the fan base or influence
and get the negative dollars of people,
the source material
to hate on things.
Exactly. So it's just like, I can see if they kind of try to make Jude Law's character be a through line through the Skywalker saga. Like, maybe he has like flashback scenes of like Order 66 and they show like shit like that, or like he's tied to another, maybe two swords. We don't know where he's at. I'm my best. I don't even know how old he would be at this, probably old as fuck at this point in time. Yeah, very old. But like, I could see like them trying to have Jude Law somehow tie into the Skywalker saga, and a lot of people be like, oh, his age doesn't line up. He would only have been 2 years, like shit like that. So it's just like, if this is gonna be a kid's show by like Goonies in space, just let it be what its own thing. Like, you can still use like familiar planets. Like there isn't like, the Skywalkers don't have a claim on Coruscant. Like, it's a big ass planet. I know we only ever see the capital, but it's a big ass planet. Like, they can let that be the familial piece. Like, just like have them maybe like be on the run and journey to like different planets that we're familiar with. But it's like, you don't have to tie this in. You don't have to give. I feel like Lucasfilms and Disney, maybe more Lucasfilms than Disney, are like aware of the very repetitious complaints that the Star Wars fandom like choose to like throw out, whether they're like justified or not. Like I said, with like when they try to link new shows to old shit and people complain about the canon and the timeline and everything, and the sacred timeline and whatnot. So it's just like, if you know that, again, like, to bring it back to your central point, like, to protect the mental health of these kids, just let this be a fun Star Wars show. Like, it doesn't, we don't have to use this as a bridge to anything. We have Ahsoka for that. We have Mando for that. Like kind of like with I know Visions is a bad example because like they do their own thing, but that's just an isolated Star Wars property that just does its own thing and everybody loves that shit. Or even like Tales of the Jedi, Tales of the Sith. Like, it gave us like more. But for the more Tales of the Sith than Tales of the Jedi. I feel like Tales of the Sith, like, even though they're like familiar faces, like, nothing that happened from Tales of the Sith, I feel like it's just like, oh shit, that explains this. Like, Tales of the Jedi, it literally tells you why Yaddle isn't around. So like that was like
with
very
that, just in the sense that Tales of the Empire really gives us the backstory of Morgan Elsbeth.
Tales of the Empire,
is why
right.
Like the Morgan Elsbeth stuff, I think is really important. The Barriss Offee stuff is just closing a line for a character that people really enjoyed. Right. I think.
For clarification, I don't mean like Tales of the Empire didn't have like big foundational impacts for people who are like in the know, but for like people who just follow like the casual shit, like the movies, they don't know what the fuck that is.
Isolated story, right?
Yeah. But like for like those of us in the know, it's just like, oh shit, this makes sense. Oh shit, okay, that explains that. Or even like I said, Tales of the Jedi, like it literally explains to you why Dooku left the Order. So that was like shit. You kind of can't fuck that up. People could pick that apart if they wanted to. But yeah, just like let this do its own thing. Let us just have fun with Star Wars again. And everybody's so uptight right now.
I agree with you in the sense that like I want people to have fun. I do think you can connect it without it being like this like super big thing that has to be like they don't have to be so connected that they're like a vital part of the final like movie, but they can definitely have something that like, you know, maybe they're in like the first act of a movie where like whatever they uncover is something that Mando or Ahsoka needs to get them to the Empire or something like that. You know what I mean? Like it can connect. It just doesn't have to be like the crux of things. Not everyone has to have this like super important role in it.
You know, I think you just said something that I would be okay with. If this connects to the other shows, I think that, because I feel like you don't put this in the Mandoverse for no reason. But I'm saying I feel like a lot of the times they try to force, pun intended, double entendre, don't ask me how. They try to like force connect the shows to the movies. And that's when people start bitching. They were like, this doesn't make sense for a movie that came out in the 70s and the 80s. Like, but like, I like what you said. If there is a through line that connects Skeleton Crew like directly to the Mandalorian, I'm fine with that. Because like, Mando is the connection to the movies, and it works like in that sense. So it's like if this connects to the movies through the Mandalorian, I'm cool with that. But like, you don't need to make Jude Law be like Ki-Adi-Mundi's apprentice. It's like some shit like that. Like I don't need that direct tie.
I don't need to know like if he is connected to Jedi that we know. Put it in a comic book, right? Like I don't really care that much about it. I'm more concerned with how it's going to affect this portion of the timeline. And if my theory is right about the Mando timeline taking place in release.
What's your theory?
Oh, we've talked about this.
Where the release order theory.
As it comes out chronologically. There's going to be an intentional reason for the Skeleton Crew to have been pushed back, which also means to me that, and I don't know if you recall this, you might, after I bring it up, you probably will remember, but the character from season 3 of Mando, Vane, the pirate that gets away, was supposedly like going to be a character in this show. And,
I feel like I remember us talking about that, like during like
and
Star
Jaleel
Wars.
White is also going to be some sort of character in the show, and I believe he's the villain.
Like Urkel Jaleel White?
Yes.
Let's go. That's lit.
So, like, I'm here for it. I think that like how they can connect to things is through the pirates, right? And if that's the case, then for the love of fucking Space Jesus, who I'm just gonna
Hondo.
Call Ezra. Yes, I'm gonna call Ezra Bridger or
give us Hondo.
Kenobi. Please give us Hondo. I just want Hondo so bad. I don't care how he gets added to the lexicon.
Johnny Depp's not. He's free. Johnny Depp's on a boat with Will Smith right now. He's not doing nothing. He's called that man up.
If you put someone in the suit and still have Jim Cummings voice him, I don't give a fuck. Just put him in the show.
Yeah.
I like it.
I feel you.
It's just one of those things where it's like I need it.
Yeah, it's like weirdly. Outside of having Freddie Prinze Jr. be Kanan, which I feel like technically that picture on Hera's thing does kind of look like Freddie Prinze Jr. in Ahsoka, so we might have unofficially got it. I feel like Hondo's like the last piece of like the Rebels like that we haven't got. That's just like, come on, bro. Like he's a fan favorite. Just give it to us. Give it to us.
It's so weird. I was talking to Kevin, our friend that we went to see Ahsoka with, and Ray the Ruiner about this. He's in a Clone Wars rewatch right now, and Ray the Ruiner said it the best. She said Hondo is the side character with the most main character energy, and I couldn't agree more.
Nah, big facts. Big fact. We need Hondo, and I need a live action Gunji. we need both those two things.
I would love those things.
And I feel like that's doable. Like just a smaller Wookiee suit. We get Wookiees regularly. We just got Koneka. we just got a Wookiee Jedi with a fade and a man bun. You could give us Gunji.
Oh, for sure. I have one note here. This is something that I'm concerned about. It has nothing to do with the actors. It has more to do with the production of this show. Okay. And they said that hover bikes, very Amblin, right, are like integral parts of the show for the kids to ride, and that's all well and good.
I've seen there's a lot of pics, right. A lot of pics with hover bikes.
I like the design of them. I'm really concerned for the cinematography around anything speeder related after Book of Boba Fett and The Acolyte. They have just not been able to get down how the speeders look in these shows.
That's a good point.
I know it's like a kind of a nitpicking thing, but like every single time they've done it in a movie, it looks good, and every time they do it in the volume, it's not fast enough. Every single time.
The Vesper Ranger speeders were definitely not speeding.
They were not, dude. It felt so like, I don't know if wooden is the right word for that, but it was just like not. It just wasn't fast enough. Like George Lucas's like iconic "faster and more intense" is missing from those scenes. And when you look at Return of the Jedi and like they've clearly sped up the footage of them going through like the redwoods and stuff like that on Endor.
Yeah,
and it feels fast.
That's just crazy.
And then even in The Rise of Skywalker, when they're doing the thing on, I'm blanking on the one sand planet at this point in time, but
I know what you're talking about. They fly now? Yeah.
Yeah. Feels very fast and intense. In Solo at the beginning when they're doing the car speeder chase, that was filmed,
and he gets stuck. He gets stuck in the alleyway.
And the biggest difference, dude, is that these are filmed on sets, and the speeder chases that we've seen in the Acolyte and Book of Boba Fett were definitely filmed in the volume. And I'm just begging, if you're going to do that, like I get it that these are hover bikes and maybe not speeder bikes, but you would be willing to bet there's probably going to be some sort of chase scenes and stuff like that. I need them to have the energy that like says this is a fast and intense scene, because without it, it completely takes me out of the experience. And I want these shows to, you know, not just be good, and I'm fine with a lighthearted story. Like that's not what I'm criticizing here. I just want it to feel like it's actually part of the universe, and without that, I think it's an element of Star Wars that's been missing. So,
you know what's crazy? I feel like it was a solution to one of our gripes became the issue to another. I feel like Star Wars is trying to like move back into use of practical effects, and then then this is what happens. It's like now that we're using like physical speeder bikes, it's like, you know, or hover bikes, like we're not getting that oomph that we got from like the CGI bikes. And you know what's funny? Every time I see like the hover chases in like Star Wars now, it reminds me of like the chase scene from Blades of Glory, when they're like chasing each other like on the ice skates, but then when they like go through the airport, they get locked into the elevator and they're both just the escalator, they're both like just stuck, like it's kind of waiting for the escalator to go up, and they're just like looking at each other. It reminds me of like, or I can't remember what movie it is, but I remember there was a movie where they were like a chase scene with like them little them carts that be at like airports. That might have also been Blades of Glory, but I don't remember. But I just remember like it was just going real slow, and everybody was like, "Move, get out of the way!" And it was just like going so slow. But yeah, it definitely. Damn, I didn't even realize that was something that bothered me. But now that you pointed it out to me, it's definitely something that I have noticed. Like, it's like, yeah, these don't feel as because like you were saying, like in Return, I was on the edge of my seat when it was bobbing and weaving between them trees. And you know what? I also remember the game where like you could like fuck up and crash into a tree real bad in that part. Real bad. It was like, oh shit. Yeah, so it was just like, yeah, damn, that's definitely something that I didn't realize I had a yearning for in the Star Wars world. But yeah, I mean, brace yourself. Probably not going to get that. Probably,
yeah.
But especially as kids on there now, they're going to be safe. They're going to be cautious.
I will say, the scene in Mando Season 3 with Grogu's flashback where Kelleran Beck is driving the speeder is a little better. But then you know, the recency, I don't want to call it recency bias, but like the most recent thing we've had was the Acolyte, and that scene in Episode 7 where Sol is like speeding off after Torben. They're not going that fast. It just doesn't.
Damn, I just think I had like a conspiracy theory. Do you think like with the Disney acquisition of Star Wars and how in real life, I would say in the year 20th of 24, it is a lot more easy. That was not proper English. It's easier to actually obtain motorcycles in real life. You think like the scale back on the speeding is to like literally like try to avoid people trying to like replicate shit in real life on bikes, like a safety aspect of it.
That is certainly a conspiracy theory.
I'm just saying Disney's gonna Disney, and I was just like, hey man, we don't want people really hopping on their bikes, but like, look, that's what I'm saying. We should give them helmets. I'm just saying,
Matt's PSA to his kids to please wear their helmets while they're riding their bikes.
I having children has made me slow down quite a bit on the road, I will say, because I definitely took it as a point of pride if I could like make the GPS into a liar. Like, oh, you say 20 minutes GPS, I'm gonna do it in 11. But no, I just think about shit like that because, you know, as a wrestling fan, I remember the age of like the don't try this at home PSAs and stuff before, you know, when people really got it through their head that, you know, like this is predetermined, like these are trained professionals, like it's conducted in as safe of an environment as they can make it. Accidents do happen. I wouldn't put it past Disney to be on some like, hey, you know what? Maybe we shouldn't encourage driving at lightning speeds like on moped like vehicles. Wouldn't put it past Disney. Watch that be the thing that gets assigned. They're like, you guys figured it out. Come work for us.
You're our new safety administration.
Like no one has ever realized. No one ever knew why we slowed the speeders down. You guys cracked the code. Come work for us.
You know, and it's funny because I know when she eventually listens to this, Ray the Ruiner's just going to be like, this guy who's afraid of roller coasters is talking shit about how fast a speeder bike's going in a show.
Fun fact, total not relevant, but just relevant to what you just said. Me and my oldest daughter rode our first roller coaster together a couple weeks ago, and it was awesome. So I didn't even know she liked roller coasters, but she went to Dorney Park with a bunch of her friends, as all kids do over summer vacation. And I had asked her, I was like, "You went on the roller coaster?" She was like, "All of them." I was like, "Oh, you like roller coasters?" She was like, "Yeah." She was like, "I just went on them the whole time because that's all I do at amusement parks. I just ride the roller coasters the whole day, just re-ride them." So we went to Clementon Park a couple weeks ago, and we got on like the one roller coaster that they have there together. But we did it together, and it was great. She loved it. I loved it.
That's awesome. I love that.
It was. So yeah, Disney PSA. Just because they speed in a galaxy far, far away, don't do that shit here.
It's gonna get us higher.
Yeah, look, I'm trying to get a sign, dog.
So while we are still on the topic of Skeleton Crew, one of the things that I also pulled out of it was just John Watts and I'm blanking on the writer's name right now, but his last name is Law. We're kind of no. Jude Law is
Jude Law.
Jude Law is the actor. His last name is something else, and I'm blanking on it right now. But they were saying that Jude Law was almost acting as a producer, acting coach, and just developed a really strong relationship with these kids. And it just I've always heard good things about Jude Law and how he's like the nicest person ever. But it is really, to me, encouraging that you're bringing people onto this project. They obviously care about it. They're professional, but they're going the extra mile to get the most out of it and their cast and crew, and investing in newer generations as well to bring that out of them. It seemed really encouraging to me. Definitely makes me excited to kind of see their relationship in the show, because I do think that some of that bleeds into it. It's naturally you spend that much time with somebody. If you're supposed to be tight-knit group in the show, being a tight-knit group, when action is or when the scene breaks, I think it also lends to that. So I am very excited about that. Do you have any notes, or as someone who I know you've gone through you acted in commercials and have gone through a lot of that schooling, like, to you, do you think that having that mentor relationship off camera is something that would be really beneficial for them on camera, and it's going to affect the show in a positive way?
Oh yeah, 1000%. Especially like I don't recognize any of these kids, but I'm sure, you know, I don't know now the way that shit works now. Like a lot of these kids just have raw talent, and like a lot of their first jobs be these gigantic projects. So I don't recognize them, but like having somebody that can like navigate the ins and outs of a movie set is definitely clutch. Because like you don't realize until you're in it, like what you see on the screen, TV screen or movie screen, like that's literally probably the most pleasant part of the experience. Like just actually getting to do the acting part of it. But there's like so much shit that's happening like behind the camera. Like it's extremely daunting. Like it's extremely daunting, especially for our kids. And then like the part that you don't see is just like how they make shit look in the final product's amazing. Cause like when you're in it, it's like there's hot as the sun, lights on you, boom mics, you know, you got marks on the floor, you got to make sure you're standing like where you're supposed to be standing. It's like it's so much more than just reciting your line. Like, you know, like if the scene calls for like, oh, Matt enters the door and walks over to the window, like I have a mark here and then I have a trail of tape on the floor that I have to follow there. So I have to be like mindful of that while remembering my lines, being present in the scene. There's so much shit that goes on a movie set just to capture like a 10-second scene. Like one scene that's in a show for like 2 minutes might take you a week to film. And it's like you're literally just doing the same scene over and over and over again until you get enough that they feel like they can spice together. So definitely it can be a lot. And like I said, like everything that's off the set is a lot too. And not to burst anybody's bubble, but a lot of the times, like you were just saying, in a perfect world, having that camaraderie off the set is key, which does happen a lot in like TV shows, because it's like, you know, you get picked up for another season. It's just like it's kind of like it's legit kind of like summer camp, like working on like a repetitious show. It's like y'all are together for like 3 months and then you don't see them again for a year, and then like you just kind of keep doing that again. But like with isolated things like movies and stuff, a lot of the time, like they're legit. Like, do you talk to your coworkers regularly when you go get off the clock? Like, nah, like, you really don't. So, unfortunately, a lot of it is like, yeah, y'all, you see these people who are so cool and so close and like locked in on screen, but it's just like, you know, once that movie's done, unless they get like other projects together, like they go their separate typically ways. Don't. Yeah, they typically go back to their lives, like and whatnot, but. Being a kid and having like that, because I remember when I would like be doing like the infomercials and stuff like that, like the thespians like on the set and everything, they were like, oh hey, do this, oh hey, try that, do this and the third, blah blah blah. But you know, like I was a lot younger when I was doing that. Like I was doing like the commercial shit probably from like, I don't know, maybe like 7 to 10, 11 maybe. Yeah, like so yeah, maybe like first grade to third grade possibly. So like I'm going there with my mom, so it's like I'm not really left alone. Sounds crazy, but like I'm not in the care of other adults when I'm not on the set. I just go back to my mother. So it's like I didn't really have to have that mentorship on set, because it's like I would show up, do my job, and I didn't want to be there. Hindsight, wish she would have made me stay in that bitch. But it was like how dare you encourage me to do what I want to do and take me out of acting? No, mom, don't let me do sports. Let me stay here. This is where all the money is. But yeah, so I didn't have to like have that thing where it's like I'm in a trailer and then it's just like, you know, my coworkers are walking around. I might be able to pick their brains. I was legit there for like 8 hours for the day, and then I would never see these people again. But for being a series regular, I can definitely say that being able to speak to somebody who has years and years and years experience like in this place, who like understands everything that you're about to go through if you choose to stay with this, is like super clutch. And it's comforting because like it's anxiety ridden. Like being like on a movie set like is anxiety ridden, especially like as a young kid. And if you have like, I mean, I'm sure John Watts is a great guy, like you said. He speaks to like the childhood aspect of like things, or like the more kid natured like vibes and shit with like Spider-Man, young adults and everything. So I would imagine like he creates a safe space. And in the year of like emotional intelligence and like, you know, understanding people's boundaries, I'm sure it's like leaps and bounds better than what it was in the 90s. But like if you got a dickhead director as a child and it's like you fuck up your line, like, oh, do it again. Like it's just like that shit could be terrifying. Like,
and effective performance probably. You know,
exactly. So yeah, and like you said, I've only ever heard amazing things about Jude Law. I used to get him and Hugh Grant confused as a kid. Like, not that they like really look alike, but it's like I feel like they operate in similar spaces, like just like movie roles. Fair. They take on similar tones. But yeah, it's definitely. I'm excited. Like I said, I have no concerns about, you know, Jude Law being like the David Harbour. Like I said, I'm just very intrigued as to how you have them interact a lot in the show, like without overshadowing the kids, and it being like, yeah, this grown ass man wouldn't really like spend all this time with these young children. Like there has to be like a reason why he'd be around like a lot. But like I said, I mean, a lot of these pictures seems like they do with their thing.
Yeah, if it's built into Jude Law's character that he's like naturally a good person and like wants to get these kids back home for whatever reason, but they keep getting pulled into like situations, I think that could work. And that if he is a Jedi or was a Jedi, that would track to me. Like I think that's almost as much as what you need. But they do describe him as being like kind of a smuggler archetype. Like he's like charismatic and, you know, and kids are trusting. Like you probably scam a lot of people with children.
Yeah,
you know what? He could be seeing them in that way. That's a really good point. Like he could be using them, and then maybe like he, you know,
grows affection for him. I'm we on the same page.
In love with them, but like you know what I mean.
We on the same page. Like, hey, I like you, knuckleheads.
yeah, exactly. I'm gonna be the Splinter to your turtles.
I will say one thing that you just touched on that I am very curious about is like the whole making sure that they're safe and getting them back home. Based off like this synopsis, it seems that they start home. So I wonder what makes them leave
home,
and then what makes them have to leave home, and then Jude Law will have to like keep them safe to get them back home. Like it's like I was like I wonder like if home isn't safe, like where is he taking them? Like I guess would be the question. The path is back again, baby.
Yeah, no, definitely interesting. And you know, this is one of I think the rare occurrences where we have spent so much time this episode of Mania talking about the production
Star Wars
aspects of Star Wars, the actual story elements. I can't wait till we see a trailer just to get some tidbits about like what is this story really about, because it's probably the biggest question mark right now that is, you know, we know it's coming. So I just would love to see a trailer pop up soon. You know, hopefully this is like a sign of, you know, the People exclusive coming out. This is going to drop in December, so we're not that far out.
No, we're not far at all.
It's going to be here before you know it. And I'm definitely excited to see it. We'll obviously be covering here on Ain't Are You Okay? And even though it's a not safe for work podcast, we definitely want we won't be shitting on children. We don't do that.
Hey, no, not at
all. It's just like, but yeah. So I am very excited. I don't really have much else out of the article, other than if you have any more statements you want to make about the fact that we're kind of missing a smuggler archetype in this current Mando timeline.
It works.
It works. What are you thinking there?
Hondo.
Let's just get
look, I would even be cool with Jude Law's character being like a contemporary of Hondo, like maybe in like his travels, being on the run, whether or not he's a Jedi or not, which probably will be, because Star Wars is always going to let there be at least a Jedi in the show. Like if that's how he got into the smuggling world, like, ooh, hold on. If we're doing this canonically, is that the word? Canonically? I think that's how canonically. I think that's how you say that word. I wouldn't be mad, and I feel like it makes all the sense in the world. I feel like this is going to be another one of those things like where the shit that we think should happen is way better than what we actually get. We got to start tempering our expectations here a bit. Right. But like, this would make sense for a Hondo appearance, because like, let's say Jude Law is a Jedi that escaped from the Order, or a Padawan that escaped from an Order that grew up. This would be after Rebels, right? Like this show, timeline wise, would be after Rebels. So it's just like Hondo has already had that relationship and bond with Ezra, so it's just like he might see another lost Jedi puppy, and he's just like, "Hey,
he has said that his best friend was a Jedi. He thinks
Look, that's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. So it's just like, if young Jude Law's character, like, you know, on the flea, like ran into Hondo and Hondo took him under his wing and, you know, helped him. That's how he becomes like the smuggler and whatnot, what have you. It's cohesive. It just fits. It works.
It works together.
It works together. But yeah, I'm calling it now. My prediction for when we finally get a trailer. I see the kids, because I feel like they're a ragtag bunch of misfits. I see them out in the field somewhere. I don't know why. Maybe scavenging for scraps. Who knows? And I see a ship crashing overhead into the woods, and they're like, "Hey guys, let's go check it out." No, I don't think that's a good idea. Well, what's your chicken?
This is exactly how it's going to go down. I'm not even I fully bought in.
Yeah, and then the kids go find this wrecked ship. Jude Law unconscious. They bring them back to their secret kid hideout. You know, get them back. Jude wakes up. Oh, who are you guys? And then he's like, I shouldn't be here. And then we didn't talk about the fucking 300 space pirates. Guess we could end with that. They're cool masks and character designs.
That's from Rings of Power, my friend, and I didn't mean to.
Oh shit, dog! I high key thought that was from Skeleton Crew.
Nah, it's from Rings of Power, which we might also cover here. Are you okay?
That's fine. Oh look, that makes me excited. Yo, I high key was just like, oh, these are great designs for a Star Wars show. I'm here for it.
For those of you who don't know, Rings of Power season 2 is around the corner.
Hilarious.
Matt is just as big a Lord of the Rings fan as he is a Star Wars fan, and
yeah, baby.
I think I saw maybe some of my favorite character designs in Lord of the Rings ever, and had to share it with him. And they're very creepy looking, but cool looking.
Duh, I high-key thought that was a Skeleton Crew. I high-key thought that was Skeleton Crew, and I was like, oh, this shit's gonna be dope.
It's Rings of Power, but I'm still excited for it.
All right, bet. No, for sure. But yeah, I would love. I mean, you know. We've talked about it here, so this isn't like us giving them too big of a peek behind the green curtain. You know, any minute now, it's in the works. Or we're finally starting to twist the bolts on that one, and it should be coming soon-ish. So that's a perfect place for us to cover Rings of Power.
Yeah, if you see a feed that's new, or like a new structured album art or thing that pops up in the Dragon Ball for Life or Annie feeds, it is because we've chosen to,
both of them.
Yeah, we've chosen to release episodes of things that don't fall under anime or Star Wars under the name Annie Minute now, as an homage to Annie, Are You Okay? And the anime aspect of Dragon Ball for Life. You know. So this is perfect segue, Matt, to bring us to the outro of the episode. But yeah, so we're going to essentially be covering things, whether it's Marvel, Lord of the Rings, anything that falls within the nerdness of your fandom elements. There, we will potentially find ways to be covering it. It's not going to be with a
motley crew of characters. Yeah. It's not going to just be me and Mikey and Trav. We got all hands on deck, rotating cast.
You might not even hear my voice on it. It's just a matter of who's available and when, right? So it's all
brothers need a break.
Yeah, I'm trying. People don't know. I love Deadpool and Wolverine. I can't tell you how much I was trying to get out of that panel, but they fucking suckered me in.
You can't sit here.
So you'll be hearing all sorts of different things coming from our podcast team. But in the meantime, you can follow us on socials at the letters A&I, Are You Okay Pod on Instagram and Twitter.
Shout outs to Layla, the newest member of the DB4L squad.
Our team. She is a content creator in her own right, but she's going to be helping us be more social, like Matt and I have been saying we're trying to be, but we're busy.
And now we have the pieces.
We got the pieces. So excited to have Layla on the team.
Very excited.
Definitely go check us out on our sister podcast, Dragon Ball for Life. You can find that at DB4L_pod on Instagram and Twitter, where you can listen to Matt and Travis talk all things Dragon Ball with our friend Miss Majin, who is the third part of the Trio of Danger. They're currently covering all of the Dragon Ball Z movies. So, every
one of them. All of them.
And
It's a labor of love because some of them don't suck.
Please follow, leave 5-star reviews. Tell your friends, tell your family. We're trying to make this our full-time job.
All right, Ivan Ooze. Come on.
Covered the rewind on Annie Minute now, covering the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers movie.
Hey, look, I would be all the way the fuck down for that, dog.
I know you'd be all the way fuck down for that.
All the way the fuck down for that, dog.
That's why I said it, Matt.
My guy. But for
all of your favorite Star Wars coverage and not safe for work spin on your favorite galaxy far, far away, you can continue to come back here too. Annie, are you okay?
A Star Wars podcast.
Matt, close this bad boy out, please.
All right, Annie Maniacs. You know, it could be Jude Law. It could be RuPaul. It could be B-Ball Paul. Shout out to the Power Rangers. It could be Angel Bay, or it could be Ray. Life can be a beach, but as long as there's no sand, you guessed it.
Time.
And they're gonna be okay.
Be okay. May the force be with you, Matt.
And with you. Later, nerds.
Sorry, I had to do a Power Ranger.
We out.